All right, let's pull back the curtain on some of the more hidden corners of the human mind. Today, we're going to be exploring the very architecture of a manipulative personality. And trust me, it's a topic that's as crucial to understand as it is fascinating.
So to kick things off, let's start with a little thought experiment. I want you to just picture someone in your mind.
You know the person I'm talking about, right? Someone who just seems a little too perfect? I think we've all been there. They have this way of walking into a room and just glowing. They command attention without even trying.
I mean, on the surface, they're the total package. They're successful, they're impossibly charming, they always know exactly what to say. But you just can't shake this little feeling in the back of your mind, can you? Something just feels a little bit off. Well, that feeling is exactly what we're going to dive into today.
It turns out that off feeling isn't just you being paranoid. Psychologists actually have a name for this very specific combination of personality traits.
It's called the Dark Triad. This concept was really brought to light by two researchers, Delroy Paulus and Kevin Williams. They identified these three distinct but also overlapping personality types that, while not necessarily criminal, all share some pretty harmful social characteristics.
And this slide right here shows you exactly what we're talking about. It's not a simple checklist. A much better way to think about it is like a Venn diagram. This data, which comes from a study of 245 students, shows just how much these traits overlap. Look at that connection between psychopathy and narcissism, a correlation of 0.50. They are clearly related, but, and this is key, they are not the same thing.
Okay, so let's really get into it. We're going to break down each point of this triangle, one by one, and look at what the research actually tells us about what makes each of them tick.
So first up, narcissism. And no, we're not just talking about someone who loves taking selfies. From a psychological perspective, this is way deeper. It's this all-encompassing sense of grandiosity, a feeling of entitlement, and an unshakable belief that you are just fundamentally superior to everyone else.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The study found that narcissists are often very charming. They tend to be more extroverted and more open, which is why they can be so magnetic. But here's the kicker. They scored the highest on what's called self-enhancement. Basically, they believe their own hype. They significantly overestimate how smart they are. You've probably met this person at work, right? The one who exaggerates all their contributions, totally convinced they're a genius.
Okay, let's move to the second point of our triangle, Machiavellianism. And yeah, it's named after that Machiavelli. This trait is the very definition of a manipulative personality. It's a cynical view of the world where other people are just pawns on a chessboard, there to be used for your own gain.
And here is a huge difference from the narcissist. The study found that people high in Machiavellianism aren't fooling themselves at all. They see the world and their own abilities with a kind of cold, calculating clarity. They don't overestimate their skills. And that, combined with a general lack of conscientiousness, makes them the ultimate puppet masters, always thinking 3 moves ahead.
And that brings us to our third and maybe the most unnerving corner, subclinical psychopathy. Now hang on, we are not talking about serial killers from the movies here. This is about a set of traits you can find in the general population. It's a mix of being super impulsive, always chasing a thrill, and, this is the most important part, having very low empathy and almost no anxiety.
And that combination, well, it can be really dangerous. The research confirmed they have low neuroticism, which means things that would make you or me anxious, stressed out, they just don't feel it. That coolness under pressure, mixed with impulsivity and an inability to feel what other people are feeling, that is a potent recipe for antisocial behavior, from making reckless choices at the office to completely betraying someone's trust.
So, we've broken them down one by one. But here's the thing. The real danger, the one the research really points to, isn't always just one of these traits in isolation. No, a truly manipulative person is often a cocktail of all three. The real story is how they connect.
So let's go back to our triangle one more time. We've talked about the 3 points: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. But what's the common ground? What's the one thread that weaves through all of them?
Well, the data is crystal clear on this. When you map the Dark Triad traits onto the Big 5 model of personality, there's one and only one trait that is negatively linked across the board: agreeableness. Simply put, they are all highly disagreeable people. And that right there is the key takeaway. The researchers themselves said that the source of all this social destructiveness is something disturbingly normal. It's not some kind of supervillain origin story, it's just a fundamental lack of agreeableness, a basic disregard for other people's feelings and well-being.
Okay, so we've gone through all this psychology, all this data, but what does it actually mean for you? Why should you care about this academic model in your real life?
It matters because it gives us a vocabulary. It gives us a framework to understand what we're seeing. Remember that vague, something feels off feeling we started with? Well, this gives it a name. It helps you see the actual mechanics behind what's happening.
Now, this is incredibly important. The goal here is absolutely not to go around slapping labels on people. This knowledge isn't a weapon for you to judge others with. Think of it as a shield. It's about recognizing these patterns of behavior and using that awareness to protect your own well-being.
Because at the end of the day, awareness is the first step. This kind of knowledge empowers you to set boundaries, to trust your gut when something feels wrong, and to make healthier choices in your relationships. Because you can't navigate a toxic situation if you don't even have a map of the territory.